Welcome to the Meaningful Connection and Contribution series. We are continuing our small business edition where we're doing 10 interviews with 10 small businesses, all of whom have a commitment and a value to really meaningfully connecting and meaningfully contributing in this world. And I am loving it. I'm loving the series, and I'm so excited for every person we have come on because I know them in life, right? Like I know them in life, so I know that they are a person that wants to share from their heart. And I was telling Dr. Brett, who we have here today, right before we hopped on, that the heart of this series is about really embodying and showing up what it is to just be an authentic human as a leader, as a business owner, but as a human, as the human behind the business, where things can become so transactional. But in order for it really to be meaningful and purposeful, we need to have connections that matter. So I am beyond excited to introduce Dr. Brett, who is here with us from TLC Chiropractic. I have been to TLC Chiropractic, so I can attest to the genuine love and care you feel when you walk in there. But Dr. Brett, why don't you start us off by telling us who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you, Dr. Toni. My name is Dr. Brett Cardonic. I have been a practicing chiropractor since 1993, which goes by very quickly. And so having my 30-year anniversary coming up in August. And, I've been at TLC Chiropractic in Willow Grove since 2020. Having a practice in Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy area of Philadelphia, which I sold back in 2019. And, now at this stage of my career, you and I are talking today because it's about, the authentic connection. It's about the relationship building that goes beyond just caring for somebody to get them out of pain, which is, the cornerstone of TLC Chiropractic is that we are not about pain. In any way, while that is something that draws patients to us, our job is really to help to elevate people's health. And the way to do that is through, certainly chiropractic care. It's through education. It's through listening and, developing relationships with patients that go beyond the day-to-day. The cliche, sometimes say is, well, we don't have patients, we have family members. And that's totally true. And when a patient goes through something, we go through something with them. And it gets to be, rather emotional. And it gets to be just what's the word that I want to use? It goes beyond, like I said, the day-to-day. These really are, family members. And, there's still that professional, personal line between. But at the same time, it's, I can't see doing anything different. Another career, nothing. And I used to joke that, we could look out the window and see someone coming in and, it's very rare, if ever, that you have that thought in the back of your head going, oh my goodness, here they come. And, and that's a blessing. And, that we've achieved that through attracting patients to us of a certain type with certain characteristics. We've done that with attracting team members with certain characteristics. And the testament of that is there are team members that have been at TLC since the very beginning. So they're there for 30 years. There are others that are as short as coming up on their year anniversary. But it's as if, old friends coming together and, when the patient walks in the door, we all turn on, we are collectively having the same vision and same goal for them. And, it's just a fantastic experience every day. And I'm pretty sure that's more than what you asked for.
Well, but it's interesting you say that, Dr. Brett, because as you were saying that, you reminded me that during my time when I had been there at TLC, I ran into a friend who I didn't know went there, and we got to talking, and she's like, yeah, I've been with TLC even before they were at this location. I've been with them since I was a teenager. They're just so genuine and caring. She's like, now I bring my kids there. And I'm like, I had no idea, but she was so dedicated she felt connected to the family that she was bringing her family there for decades.
Right. And you know what, we have, there's the, they call it the kitchen moment.
Mhm.
where you step back and everybody's just talking and interacting, and that's what parties are about. And we've had patients come in and they've seen family members they didn't know that were coming here. Patients that have it happened this morning. I'm not making this up. A couple came in and saw their daughter's third grade teacher,
Mm.
and the daughter is now in college. So, and it's that whole connection. And when people, see someone who's made the same choices and the same decisions as they've made, it reinforces their commitment to doing what's good for themselves. And, as the doctor, to be able to step back and just watch people interact like old friends, and they become friends and they talk, and it's just really a wonderful environment for connections between patients and doctors, and also patients and patients and patients and team members and doctors. I mean, it's like I said, I can't see myself functioning in another business, another practice like this. There is
Yeah.
nothing else like it. And that's
Relation-
why what's amazing is that TLC is also, in addition to the chiropractic office, we're also coaches. So we coach other chiropractors and teams across the country. So there's these little pockets of the same kind of atmosphere and environment all across the United States and Canada. And, so that creates our network. And, when patients travel, I had a patient who's on her way to a bodybuilding competition in North Carolina this weekend and in crisis, so you go on the website, you find the doctor and you send it to them. And it's just an extension of what we do. And it's a community of people with the same vision. And it's really a blessing.
There's that value of relationships that kind of ripples out to those that you're coaching as well. And that allows it to serve many, many people, as opposed to serving just only certain pockets of people. You're able to serve, sounds like, all around the nation, which is really cool. I have a lot of questions for you, Dr. Brett, and I know we won't be able to fit them all today, but I want to first say, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, because I know that there might be some tuning in that either haven't received chiropractic care, or maybe they had a poor experience with chiropractic care, or maybe they just have a perception about chiropractic care that's a bit askew for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you saying, and me saying as well, folks are going to the chiropractor for decades. Like, is that really effective then if they have to keep coming back and back and back? How do you speak to that question, or that element of needing to or choosing to come back and back and back, and whether there is progress being made there?
Right. Well, if you think about any kind of therapy as having a goal of fixing a problem, well, then when the problem is fixed, the therapy is finished. And well, while we do that in our practice, we do address complaints of, musculoskeletal pain and things of that nature, neck pain, headaches, the typical things that people consider with chiropractic. It's the care beyond that. And when we educate patients as to the effectiveness of brain to body communication and the reality that healing comes from the inside, our bodies are created to heal ourselves, then we work on refining that process of how their body operates. And, certainly it's always a choice, and, not everybody is coming to us for that reason. The majority of patients do. And the validity of it comes into when they sit back and say, wow, I'm a teacher and I didn't have any sick days this year. And it's the first time they've ever had it. Or something simple as, I've had allergies all my life, now they're not there. And those are anecdotal stories. And then again, it's the patient that says, wow, I didn't realize how sitting in my computer created all these issues until now I look at myself and I see all these posture deformities that I've created for myself. And, so there's the anecdotal answers, there's the research that shows how, a properly functioning nervous system enables the body to do exactly what it was designed to do. And our job is to just get out of the way. And there's, having done this for so many years, even in my small pocket of community, seeing the results and the changes that people have made in their lifestyles. And when they start from children right after they're born, the birthing process is rather traumatic to the baby and the mother. And it's about quality of life.
Hmm.
And
Can I pause you there for a second? So you started out saying if we look at it as a fix it kind of framework, then there is an end goal. But if it's about quality of life, then it becomes about ongoing healing, to me, ongoing evolution, right? Ongoing growth, opportunity. And I think that's a really succinct and powerful way for us to maybe share that and to frame that here. Because I was thinking about, as you were talking, I could say the same thing as a psychotherapist. I'm like, yes, like there are clients that come in, they're like, I want this to be fixed. And we're like, all right, this is our goal. Let's do that. And then that's when that is complete. Some of them are like, I'm good. This is what I came in for. I got it. I'm good. And if they need something in the future, they'll come back. But otherwise, that's where, and that's okay. But then there's the other folks who come in and they're like, okay, yes, I want to fix this thing, but also I just want to feel better. And then they start experiencing feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I know it can just get better and better and better. So I want to continue so that I can continue to experience this better and better and better. So it's a different framework, and neither is right or wrong, but it's a matter of what you're looking for. And when you've kind of begin to experience progress, if you want to continue down that road, or if you're okay with where things are at.
And that's where it comes down to understanding certainly what the patient is looking for. And it comes down, it's also with, did a dentist ever tell you that you have to brush your teeth every day for the rest of your life? No, it's understood because we use our teeth every day, and that's where the education comes down from. But there is never a question as to whether or not you're going to have to care for yourself for your entire life. The question comes down to, well, what's the quality of the care that you're going to deliver to yourself? Are you only going to eat well when you're in crisis, or exercise when you're overweight or have a heart attack? No, you're going, well, I shouldn't say no. There are people that do that, and there's another way. And that's what we do, developing the communication, the education, and the relationships with patients so that they understand what we know as doctors and practitioners, what we've seen, and how they have that opportunity to have the same thing.
Yeah, it's such an interesting way to share, I think, to look at this with the world and to share that with the world, because not everybody has the exposure to these different frameworks of looking at like our quality of care, our self-care, our self-maintenance, our caring for ourselves over the course of our life, and ways to do that. And there are different ways to do that, but I really appreciate you bringing those frameworks to light, because I think that some folks just haven't had it presented to them. So now they have a different way to look at it.
Right. And it used to be, right, that people would come to psychotherapy when they had a problem. And now it's very common, or I should say it's rather uncommon to find someone who's not in some sort of communication therapy and psychotherapy. The world is, I'm not 60 years old. I'm going to be 56 next week, but I've seen a lot in my short time here. And there's always something to work on. Physical, emotional, chemical, everything. And you're never done, in my opinion, learning how to care for yourself differently. And lifetime care is not an option. It's just that the quality and the degree to which you're going to care for yourself.
Yes. And if we view that as an opportunity rather than a deficit, right? So like,
absolutely,
the work is never done. Like, why is the work never done? Versus like, oh, like I always have an opportunity to evolve, to grow, to learn. It does depend on how we look at it. But, and I could talk to you about this all day, Dr. Brett. I know that we could, but I want to get to know you even a little bit more. So what is it that brought you to chiropractic care? Because it's a special kind of holistic education, relationship, service-based vibe that you all have going at TLC, but you didn't all just like get dropped there, right? You all have a journey, you all have experiences that led you there that brought you to that place. So what is yours? What is it that brought you into chiropractic, and why is that so meaningful to you?
Well, I mean, my journey began purely mechanical. I had always, I grown up always wanting to be a doctor, wanting to help other people, and was on the path towards medical school. And long story short is I got sick when I was an undergrad, and called home. My father was a pharmaceutical salesman, so I mean medications and that allopathic directive was always around. And I mean, I thought I had no idea what was going on. So I called home, and my father, I told him what was going on. He said, "I'll call you back." And he said, "All right." Call me back an hour later. He said, "Well, Dr. A said take this, Dr. B said take that, and Dr. C said take that." And nothing matched. Now, all the symptoms were the same, but nothing matched. And this was when, my head, I guess, because computers had just come out, I was just, well, not just come out, I'm not that old. But they said, my head went to, well, why do I need to go to medical school if it's putting in the symptoms into the computer, and the computer or the book is going to tell you what to give? So it just actually, that my brain crashed. And so I just finished my biology degree, and then it was actually my mother who said, "What do you think about chiropractic?" I had no concept. I even had back pain in school and high school and everything, got injections and such, but never saw a chiropractor. And then I actually interviewed several different chiropractors before I applied to school. One of them happened to be Dr. Dean DePice, who is at TLC, and went through that intellectual process of, well, your nervous system runs everything. Your nervous system is in your spine. If your spine works well, then you work well. And that was my epiphany. So went through chiropractic, had my own practice, did all that, and then began coaching with TLC coaching, and then had interactions with Dr. Dean. And one day they said, "We're looking to change how we practice. We want you to come be with us." And like I said, that was back in 2019, 2020, and it's been a whirlwind since then. And now I've become even more holistically based, even more relationship based, even more community and patient connection based. And so, there are many chiropractors that say, "I didn't choose chiropractic, chiropractic chose me." Well, this practice and this lifestyle chose me. There's been too many coincidences in my life since I've been there. 3 months into joining that practice, I found a house a tenth of a mile away. So I walk to work every day. Again, it's not a coincidence. So that my journey was, while it wasn't a direct line to this, obviously it's the right place and the right situation for me.
Wow. So it started out, and I think it always does when it's meaningful to us. It always starts out personal, but I find it so interesting. So many of folks like you and I, and a lot of science background folks that I've been speaking to, especially recently, they have this intellectual background in science, and then something hits them, usually physically.
Mhm.
It's like something's off, but the physical obviously is connected to the mental and emotional. So it's this whole kit and caboodle, right? Something hits them and it's like, this isn't right. Like something is missing. Even though you've been an action taker, right? A goer, doer. It sounds like you knew you were on the path to medical school, right? Something is missing. And then it hits you in some meaningful way, and it reroutes you towards this more intuitive, this more holistic, this more like intangible, out the part of science that can't be so quantified.
Sure.
And it pulls you in, and doesn't mean you have to drop the science, but it expands and goes beyond the science and wraps it all up in this really beautiful way of seeing the world and your work and your relationships. And I have felt that when I have been in TLC, and I'm curious if that fits for you. Like, can you resonate with that? Would you say that there's some part of that fits for the life that you're living and the work that you're doing?
Oh, I definitely think so, because the connection that I had with chiropractic and with TLC was, probably 20 years ago.
Hmm.
And, I guess to the point where I evolved personally in my life and professionally, then I saw the value of doing things differently and transitioning over, to the practice here. What is it? When the student's ready, the teacher will appear. Well, the teacher's always been there.
Yep.
And, the answers are always there. It's just a matter of whether we're going to see them. So I think that's how things came about for me. I never had that philosophical chiropractic experience growing up. Didn't have a family member who was saved by chiropractic, didn't have, childhood illnesses that were helped by chiropractic. It was this intellectual decision that brought me to a place of connection and relationships. And that started right from school. I have roommates that I still keep in contact with that, had this not happened with me, my life would certainly be different. And, and right now, being in this connection, even with you, had you not come to the office and we had not met at the, at networking, then, this experience wouldn't happen. And sitting here talking with you is an elevation of my experiences as well. So, the cliche of everything happens for a reason is not a cliche. It's true, just like, everything else that we've already talked about.
Hmm. Hmm. And so if someone is of the mindset where, okay, there is something that is ailing me physically, and I'm going to go to the chiropractor, and Dr. Brett, like, I want you to tell me what's wrong, and I want you to tell me how to fix it. And they're very much kind of putting you in the stereotypical doctor role of what you were looking for when you first called your dad, right? How do you approach that? Like, what do you do with that now?
Well, right now, what we do from the very beginning, when we look at their application for care, they circle there's circles and X's and check marks and lightning bolts of all these places where they're having pain and complaints. And we let the patient know right up front, look, I know that it's your neck and your back that brought you in here. And we're here to help elevate your health. And we're going to get to all of those things of the mechanics of what's hurting you, what's bothering you, but we don't start by asking all of those questions. We start by getting reads from their bodies. We look at posture, and we look at palpation, and we look at the person to get a read as to what's going on with them. And then we do the mechanical work. And it's an education process from day one that they're there for their pain. We are there to help elevate their health. And I didn't cause their problem. They're not broken, but my job is not to fix their problem. Their job is to learn how to fix their problem.
Hmm.
And that's where it's education from day one of how to do things the right way, how to do things differently. And we tell patients also up front, while you may have a 3-month care plan or a 6-month care plan, you're never going to be done. We will outline for you how to take care of your spine and nervous system differently. It's your job to do that for the rest of your life. And if that doesn't resonate with someone, then this is not the practice for them. We don't want to create issues for them, but there's no ambiguity as to what our mission is, as to what our job is, which is to have a healthy person.
So straight from the start, would you say you take more of like a partnership approach as opposed to like an authority type?
Well, there is the authority, but also, yes, it's a partnership, because it's important for the patient to understand that when I tell them, you know what, Mrs. Jones, based upon what we're looking at, you're looking at 6 months or 12 months or 18 months of a care plan to begin correcting your problem. It's your problem. You did it. I didn't do it. So there's the authoritativeness of telling them what the recommendations are. And then we must partner with them in teaching them how to do things differently. It is not a passive relationship. And, there are patients that, understand and follow through and take things to the very end. And there are those that once they're out of pain, the crisis is over, they're where they place that in their hierarchy of how they're going to live their lives changes. And, we see them again at their next crisis.
Yeah, and so when they're ready for that level of commitment and accountability, as well as support, because you're offering support and education as well, when they're ready for that, it sounds like you can feel the difference between ready for that versus if they're like, no, actually, I just want to fix this. Tell me how to fix this. And then.
Right. And quite frankly, that's one of the things that, with TLC Chiropractic, with Dr. Dean, is this almost extrasensory perception of when people are going through different situations. And the value of having multiple doctors at this clinic is that there's time when one can take a patient to the side and spend extra time with them, as opposed to, coming and getting adjusted and doing their therapy or their exercise. And that ability of having that extra moment of time, that extra relationship time and listening time, is what really sets us apart. The environment we have is one where we can catch patients when they're having a crisis. They come to us when they are not that we are their therapist, but there are times when the environment is safe that they can vent to us, or just come in for support and a hug. We're a huggy group of people. That takes time getting used to. But it's all about relationships and connections. It's, we still give out our cell phone numbers to patients. They never call it because they're like, oh, I don't want to bother you, but that's the kind of relationship that we have. And, going above and beyond. The team is trained to, they're trained, but I think the type of person that we bring into work with us has the skills to catch when somebody mentions to the side that someone has passed away or somebody's going through an illness, and that card goes out immediately. That phone call happens immediately. Everybody understands that we are all caring for the patients together, so that meaningful relationship, meaningful connection begins from the very beginning. And that's why those that may not get on board with the longevity process from the beginning, eventually, 2 or 3 episodes of the same thing, they understand the environment, and eventually they will come along to that process. So it's, I just can't stress enough about, we are different. We are different. Our team is different. Our approach is different. However, as doctors, our job is to help people, and that's what we do.
Absolutely. And again, I can attest to that. And I do think it felt different there for sure. There is a level of commitment and seriousness, and yet this casual connection and like familyness. It's an interesting combination that I don't think is just easily come by. I think it needs to be intentionally cultivated. And I do think that you have all chosen to do that. You and all of the other doctors and staff members that are there have intentionally chosen to cultivate as the series is called, a meaningful connection so that you can meaningfully contribute.
Absolutely. And quite frankly, it's also outside of the office. We are a community-based practice. We have our events that benefit the community. We're always going out and just meeting our neighbors. And, it's a relationship that I don't want something from you. I'm here for you. I'm here for our community. And when one person is healthier and is more vibrant and looks at things in a healthier way, well, then we all benefit from it.
And so it's clear that you love what you do and you find a lot of meaning in it. If someone were to meet you, Brett, outside of the degree, outside of the business, and they were just to see you, the human Brett, what would you want them ultimately to know or to see about you as the human?
Well, I am human. That's, it's, people say that I'm a nice guy. He's a nice guy. I've always been a nice guy. And I'd say that I'm more than a nice guy. I find myself to be very compassionate. I find myself to be perhaps not as inquisitive of other people, but I'm listening. I'm a listener. I am loyal. I sound like a dog. I'm trustworthy. And, that's really, what I am. I would like to think that people would see that there's no hidden agenda in when I communicate with people. It's that what you see is what you get situation. And wanting, we say in conversations with other coaches and people that I work with, we don't want anything from you. I want things for you. And I think that is what I would want people to get from me. That, if I ask you a question about you or your family or how I can help you, I really mean that, I'm here to help you. And I think that's what I would want. Not a nice guy, but a sincere person who's here to help. How about that?
To know that you mean well, right? And that you are doing your best to be transparent and authentic. Yeah, and how you interact. I think that's really meaningful. I believe deeply that the world needs more of that. All of us do. And there's a lot of vulnerability that comes with that because we all have flaws. We're all imperfect. We're all always learning and growing, right? And so we're all going to make mistakes sometimes, which means being our authentic self is showing the world all of that, right? It's showing the world that we mean well, and also we're not always going to do well. We mean to do right, but we're also not always going to do right. And showing that's a humanness of us. So I appreciate that you're sharing that. And I want to ask you in that same vein, in order for me to be of contribution and to meaningfully connect with you in the way that I do and how I show up in supporting people, I asked you to bring a challenge, an area where you would like to grow more or would like to experience a shift or some forward movement in. So tell me what you've got for me and I'll see what I can do to support you with that.
Well, I think I'm always looking for ways to have that, not necessarily silent connection or, communication with someone, but for someone who doesn't know me or doesn't know me well enough to be able to experience that, like I said, that when I communicate, I'm really not looking for anything from you. I want to give to you. I want to show you that I'm here for you, that I love you, that I am vulnerable in a way to not take over your problems, but to come beside you and help you with your problems.
Can you give me an example of where that is presenting challenge for you right now?
Well, I think that, in the office, it certainly is, it's easier to do that because when you help somebody and they feel better, well, then they look for assistance in other ways. I would say that outside of the office, being able to, some people have the gift of connection where they can smile at someone and that person is immediately not attracted to them, but they can have a conversation with them. So, having the ability to enter into, communications with other people that I may not have a connection with, to kind of be extroverted in gathering that connection.
Is this business specific as far as you're wanting to network more and build like?
Well, I think that it certainly is the networking part. And it's also, in the non-networking part, in, just becoming connected in community. It's very easy for someone, I would think for most people, that if they're walking down the street and someone says hello to them first, they will respond in hello. And if that other person says something, then you'll communicate. For myself, it's having the skill or the comfortability of being able to be the one who then initiates that communication.
So initiating communication with others, whether it's at work or otherwise, initiating communication with others that you don't already know. Is that correct?
Yes.
and to do so in a way that facilitates this kind of meaningful connection that we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
Do you get the sense that that is not happening in the way that you want it to happen?
Well, I'm sure that it happens on some level. I would love to be able to do that in a more comfortable way, in a way that is more natural, a way that is beyond, hey, hi, how are you? Or, gosh, there are some people that I see that have a hard time asking for help in a store, I've learned that, if you ask someone a question and they help you, well, then you can have a conversation, but that, to me, that is a one for one. Right? I need something, therefore I can react. But if I don't need something from someone and I just want to have a conversation and say hello because we're both standing in line for 20 minutes, and instead of looking at my phone or them looking at their phone, let's have a conversation. I think that's the kind of connection that is innocent, is non-goal oriented, other than to just be in connection with someone.
Yeah. How would you know if you are experiencing more of that? What is it that you would see change?
Oh, I think that the little bit of anxiety that you have when you meet someone that's new, that you don't know, that would be less.
Okay. So this sounds like it's less about the ability to initiate more frequently these meaningful connections, but instead it's about the sense of comfort or ease with which you do that.
Sure. I mean, that, and then I would say, part two would be to be able to get that sense of being able to be in connection or conversation with someone and being able to have that empathic listening and hear of what they're really talking about. Being able to tell us, you know what, I've been talking to you for 5 minutes and there's something else going on here. Some people have that skill, whether it's, observational or touch or something, but to have the ease of being able to have that connection, and then also to have the resource of being able to observe the unspoken.
Yeah.
That would be tremendous.
The resource to be able to observe the unspoken, that's beautifully put, by the way. That is naturally going to happen as the anxiety reduces.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be much effort to do there because you already innately have that within you, like access to that within you. It's just that when there's anxiety, and you know this, right? If there's anxiety, our nervous system is not as regulated as we want, right? Because that a regulated nervous system is calm, right? An experience of calm, peace, confidence. And so if there's anxiety, then that's not where our nervous system is at, which means the brain is not able to think as optimally as it could. And so that intuitive intelligence that can sense the observation of what is not really seen or tangible, it can come more online, it can be more free flowing, you can be more connected to it as that anxiety reduces. Mm-hmm. So that in and of itself hopefully can free up some of the thought that you need to do something about that. I don't think you need to do something about that. That's going to flow naturally for you. Mm-hmm. Right, once we get an idea of the reduction of the anxiety. So are you, would you say that you have recently been trying to reach out to folks and start these natural conversations, or is it just been on your mind and you haven't really begun to try?
I could always do better.
Okay, so
there's a little bit of it, and then there's times more often than not where I just continue to go, you put your head down and you do what you got to do, and that's it.
Okay. So you're noticing an opportunity to interact with someone. And what I hear you saying now is, okay, so I'm noticing that there's some opportunities where I can like meaningfully connect with someone, but I withhold that.
There you go.
Yeah. So but I want to do that because I'm someone that values connecting. I'm someone that values contributing. So I withhold that because insert anxiety or fear statement there. I withhold that because I don't think they care. I don't think they want to hear from me. They might think I have an ulterior motive. I withhold that because I'm too busy. What would you insert there? I withhold that because.
I withhold that because there are times when I believe that the other person really wouldn't care.
Mhm.
They're doing their heads down, they're doing their own thing. I may withhold it because of my own, I mean, gosh, we all have insecurities of, of not wanting to put ourselves out there. And I know personally that the more I don't withhold that, the easier it becomes and the better it is, and more connections and all that. So for me, it's I want to get past that moment, that little voice in the back of your head that says, why don't you just be quiet right now and go about your business, and you'll get it done.
Yes. Okay. All right, good. So I was in the grocery store the other day, and literally just yesterday, and I was shopping and I had the baby with me and she wanted to eat and I was getting the groceries and I was by myself. So I was nursing the baby while pushing the grocery cart and shopping at the same time. And this other mom comes in with her, he's probably like maybe 3 or 4, her child. And she looks at me and she says, "You're doing a great job." She didn't have to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't know if I was going to receive that. She didn't know if I was going to take offense to it. Like, she didn't know how I was going to react, right? But even just saying it brings tears to my eyes. She
Mm-hmm.
chose that opportunity. And it didn't go beyond that. I was just like, thank you. Like, I didn't even know I needed to hear it. I didn't even know, but it felt good to hear it. Right. And so it's when you're talking about this, that is what it sounds like you want to do.
Yes.
Notice. And it didn't lead into some big conversation. But I could feel it, right? Like, I could feel what she was sharing with me and I appreciated it, even though it didn't continue into conversation beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I share that example because you can do this regardless of a conversation coming out of it or not, regardless of whether they decide to verbally respond or not. Like, you can do this in a meaningful and connected way without there being a specified outcome. And I'm curious if you believe that. Do you believe there needs to be a specific conversation or a specific response from them in order for you to know that it's okay that you did what you did or said what you said?
I think that getting some sort of acknowledgement from it, for me, I mean, getting a little pat on the back of someone saying thank you, behavior rewarded is behavior repeated. Yeah. And to also, so yes, I getting that feedback would be great, and learning how to not focus on getting that feedback would be better.
Yes, because what if you don't get it?
Right. Well, then I'm like,
Yes.
I can be a grumpy goat.
Right. And that right there is the incongruence that you have going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to contribute, I want to connect in this meaningful way, but I want them to validate that I've done it meaningfully. But they don't get to decide if it was meaningful or not. You do.
Up here, I know that.
Well, I know you know that, but you need to hear it, right?
Right.
I know you logically know this, right? But you need to hear it. That's the incongruence. Because if you're genuinely, and I know you genuinely want to, but if contribution is coming from this place of what I call core connection, if it's coming from this place of core connection, it doesn't need validating. It still feels good to get validated, but it doesn't need it. And so when it doesn't happen, it still feels good.
So
here's my task for you.
Give it.
Okay. So my task for you, and I can send you, I have a piece of this in my book too. I think I can send you a PDF or something of it. My task for you is to identify your top 5 core values. And when I say core values, I'm not talking about the way other people talk about values, like, oh, I value aesthetics, I value family, that's not what I'm talking about. You can value those things. When I talk about core values, I'm talking about the way you value showing up in this world. So this is about how I value showing up in this world, regardless of what anyone else says, does, or thinks. How I value showing up in this world. These are the top 5. And for example, it might have evolved over the years, but mine are connection, compassion, authenticity. Forgiveness used to be one, but it's shifted a little bit in its terminology. All right, so those are 4. Okay, so those are just some of mine. And that's about the way I value showing up in this world, period. Whether someone is mean to me or nice to me, whether someone agrees with me or disagrees with me. If I know those core values, I can anchor into them and I can say, how can I show up in alignment with these core values, even though they aren't? Even if they are. This is who I value being in this world. And when you get clear on those 5, top 5, 3 to 5, practice asking yourself, you're talking about practicing and making daily habits, right? It's chiropractic care. This is similar, right? Because we're talking about mental habits that we're creating and rewiring. Practice asking yourself that question. How can I show up in alignment with these top 4 values that I've identified? And as you do that, what's going to happen is when you see someone like that lady saw me in the grocery store, or like you see someone, if you hold the door for them as they're walking out, whether or not they say thank you, you're first asking, did I show up in alignment with my core values as I interacted with that person? And if you can say yes, that is internal, intrinsic, feel good, sustainable, satisfying success. And it feels like more than enough.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's self-validation, and it's the whole, doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah.
And that is going back to growing up, that is a personal button of mine that, yeah, if you've got that PDF, I mean, I took my notes, but that would be tremendously valuable. For me, for my children, for anything. That's fantastic.
I will send that to you. Yeah, I have it in one of the chapters of my book. So I'll figure out a way to send you like that chapter, a PDF of it, so that you can use that. And remember, it's a practice. I know you already know this, but it's helpful to hear from someone else, right? It is a practice. You're creating these new mental habits, new mental formations for yourself, but you will feel it. You will feel it. And the irony here is that the more you practice this, was you termed self-validation, you're going to start to attract and experience and feel more of that external validation over time. It's just naturally going to flow towards you because you are internally fueling it, and it's going to flow.
That sounds fabulous.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear how that goes for you.
Yes.
Yay. Is that helpful?
Oh God, tremendously. Absolutely. There are very few people that do this. I have some wonderful connections and friends that are so vulnerable to be able to do what you're saying. And they don't crave that external validation. But when they get it, you can see them light up. And, for me, having that perspective of understanding what they're doing and then me being able to learn how to do that, that'll even bring me closer with everything else. So I think that's incredibly valuable.
And it's okay, it's human to want that external validation. It's just that it can't be our foundation. It'll disappoint us. Humans are just too fickle, and you know what I mean? So it's okay to want it. It's very human to want it. We're a social interactive species. And again, I know you know this, but I don't want anyone to feel bad or wrong for wanting that. Like, we all do want that, but it cannot be our foundation, or it will falter. It just will.
Mhm.
Right. So thank you. Thank you for being so courageous and vulnerable and authentic and sharing that challenge with us. Because I'll tell you, Dr. Brett, so many people struggle with that exact thing. Myself, I have been there. I write about that in my book too. Like, I've been there, and it is a practice to start to approach it differently, but it changes so many things because you can just feel the shift. So thank you for sharing that question.
Thank you. I'm glad I took this opportunity that you gave.
Yes, I am too. All right, so we went a couple minutes over time. Let me give you one last chance to share any bits and pieces you need or want to share with the audience, the folks listening, about your business and how to contact you if they'd like to reach out.
Well, as a chiropractor, we are TLC Chiropractic in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. Our website is TLC Chiro, so TLCCHIRO.life. And, I want to thank you for, you didn't pull things out of me, but you gave me a platform and an environment where I could express things that, we didn't, you and I didn't sit down with a 10-point list of what we needed to do. And I think these organic conversations are the ones that are the most valuable. And, if someone, hears how I explained it differently than you explained it, and that's the answer that they got, then, that's why, that's what this is about. And that's the kind of connections that, I'm always looking for. And I appreciate you and I thank you. And I look forward to reading your book and what you are going to send me, and more connections outside of clinical and business.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you for sharing your gifts with this world. I know you're going to continue to do that. So thank you for being you and sharing all of that. And everyone that's listened in, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your precious time with us. If you want to connect with Dr. Brett or TLC Chiropractic, I will have the link to the website below as well. So it's easy for you to click and head on over there. And you're welcome to leave comments or questions in the comments section below. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you.